What's going on, everybody? It's Devontae's Reaper Training, and today I want to get back into the motivation series a little bit. I wanted to talk about something that I went through about 2 years ago. Well, I've gone through a few times, and I think that this is something that might be very, very helpful to all you guys as far as having the turning point in your life. If you guys listen to the podcast that I recently put up, I talked briefly about turning points, and that's a turning point is basically a time in your life where you go through something, whether it be good or traumatic, that turns your life into another spectrum. Except as a Reaper mentality, there's no such thing as something that's always detrimental. There's no such thing as like a loss as being a total loss. You always get something from every single loss. And with the turning point, all of our turning points we try to make into a positive. So we try to make it to a positive path, even though it was a negative outcome at the time. Basically, you tear down to rebuild, right? Kind of like the phoenix, you always, through the ashes comes new life. And I want to talk about my past experiences and how it may help you guys. And so personally, when I first came to Virginia, I came to Virginia about 2 years ago, right? I came here fresh out of Marine Corps training. If you guys don't know anything about Marine Corps reservists, you go through boot camp, you go through combat training, and then you go through your MOS school, which all falls to be around, for everybody's different. Mine ended up being around about a year, about 10 months or so, I'll say. It took me to get to finally getting out of MOS school. And I got back, and I made the decision that I was going to kind of reform my life a little bit. I came to the idea that I don't think that where I was before I left was a conducive environment, so I decided to go to live with my grandmother in Virginia. And when I came here, it was a total fresh start. No license, no car, no job, minimal work experience. I didn't even have a state ID. It was just a total rebuild. I was sleeping on the couch, and it was just kind of coming from when you leave the Marine Corps boot camp, you understand if you've done something that not a lot of people have done. They talk about how many, like the small percentage, like 5% of the nation's population has served in the military. And it's even less than that have served in the United States Marine Corps. You talk about how much pride we carry ourselves in. So when you're leaving training, you're on like cloud 9 almost, like this little ongoing joke in Marine Corps. You think you've made it, right? So I think everybody, when they leave training and things like that, they feel like they've made it. They feel like they have accomplished something that not a lot of people have accomplished, which is the truth. It's not something that's easy. It's not something that everyone can say they've done. So there's a pride that comes in that. But to come from that point of pure confidence, right, and to come down so low to just now you're sleeping on the couch working at Ruby Tuesday, washing dishes. It's very, very, it's hard to take that fall. But I understood at that time then, and I understood now, that you have to kind of really tear down everything sometimes just to rebuild yourself, right? Because from that point, it put me at a point where I had a chance to really learn and develop myself and kind of learn about the world a little bit. I feel as though had I gone back to what was safe, it could have held me back. And fast forward to now, I'm not by any means gloating, but it's more so just to give you an idea. I took that. The whole plan when I got out of high school was to use the military as a catalyst and not as something I'm dependent on. And through that, I made sure I got a trade, and that was my goal, was to pursue my trade, which is being an electrician. So fast forwarding, I got a well-paying electrical job. Then I also got my license in my car within about a 6-month span, and now I have my own apartment. And this is all done within about a year's time, right? And the reason why I want to say this is because in the time frame of doing that, I went through a lot. There's been points in time where I'm at, I had to go to Walmart and I didn't have enough money for food, and I'm trying to juggle all these things at once, so we together. There's been times where I had to conduct myself in some less than legal activities just to, feed myself and things like that. There's been times where I'd be working 70 plus hours a week grinding, I'm at work, I'm doing, like, I would legit do a 10-hour shift at work, starts at 5 in the morning, something like that, get off of work, get home, then ride around doing Postmates for 2-3 hours after that, and then get home, or I'll go to the gym right after I left Postmates, and there was just so much going on, but I understood that I really had to reinvent myself because I was into a whole new atmosphere. Virginia is, people don't consider the South, but it's a whole new, world almost compared to being up north. There's just not a lot of things that's the same, having to get used to not having public transportation, having to be used to that you have to drive everywhere and things like that. It's very, very learning. But the reason why I wanted to bring this up is because some of you guys are at a point right now where you're in almost like a deadlock, and I don't want anybody to see this video and just be like, man, fuck, I'm quit my job, time to go shoot out the door. Don't end up being homeless, nothing like that on account of what I say. But I want to say that if you're at a point where you just can't go anywhere else, you're just stuck, and you've been stuck for some time, it may be time just to tear everything down and just to restart from new. And at the end of the day, it's going to hurt. It's going to be a lot of things that you're going to go through. It's going to be a lot of hardship that you're going to go through. But the beautiful part about it is the fact that all that you're going to go through is going to build character. It's going to build a strength. It's going to build a confidence in yourself that you may not have had before. Because everything that I went through within these past few months and things like that, the struggling, the trying to, my credit score dropping and coming back up and dropping again, and just, having all these hardships that I had to go through just to try to survive, it's built a confidence that's unwavering, just because I know in my heart of hearts that whatever happens, I can always bounce back. There's never a point in time, it's just, when you make it through something that's very, very stressful or very, very stringent on your psyche, once you get through that and then you come out better, there's nothing that can ever break you. In my opinion, there's really nothing that can break me at this point. It'll hurt, it'll take me down a notch, but you know what? Regardless of the fact, I'll always be ready. I'm always able to kind of bounce back. And my whole point of the Reaper mentality is I want you guys to build that confidence. I want you guys to build that identity in yourselves that you can always bounce back from whatever circumstance that you're in. And if it's time, only you would know when it's time to rebuild. The one day it might just be something that's just off the top. You might just be like, man, you know what? It's time to go. So, Savonte's Reaper Training. This is the Reaper mentality. We're grinding all 2020. Let's go.